All right. And if anybody has watched the first edition of Russ Foster, this is his road to what show you doing?
Show has not been announced yet. The goal is still try to get to 330, the right kind of 330. Let's say that anybody can get there just by eating, pizza and cheeseburgers. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, 330 with a muscle and
so the road to
necessary, I guess.
Yeah, right. The road to the first bodybuilding show that you're going to do.
Yeah.
So I'll put it that way. So when I first messaged you, you were about 300 pounds and your goal was 330. You clearly have gotten bigger since then.
I've had my ebbs and flows. One thing I've noticed, and I guess one of the themes that I wanted to bring into this is expectation management. Of course, anybody going into this has to understand that there's going to be ups and downs, obviously. I've noticed since moving out to Florida, I get sick more often than I think I have anywhere else, including the desert. And ironically, where I work, a lot of people who are from either Long Island or the boroughs who work down here, they get sick just as often as I do. It's like everyone is like in a constant state of misery.
What kind of sick? What are we talking about?
It's mostly allergies, head colds that just linger.
Wow.
I was in Houston a couple weeks ago and came down with a cold as I was driving out to Orlando to catch a flight. And it's just been hanging on the whole time. And one of the realities of this is when you're sick or whatever, you're not going to the gym. Eating is a struggle.
It really is,
and weight's going to go down. I mean, it's just one of those things. And at the end of the day, really, my current weight is 310. But when you see the scale go down, it's like don't freak completely out because a lot of it's water. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose 10 pounds of muscle like that. So
only the real freaks of nature like Samson Dowda or Derek Lunsford.
Derek. Can't wait to see him in November.
Oh yeah, can put on that much muscle and still be relatively lean. I mean, they still have abs. It's unbelievable.
It's unreal.
Yeah. Like Samson's 330, and he's about 5'11" or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's still, very well conditioned. Not ready to step on stage, but nothing like we've seen in the past. We've seen bodybuilders in the past get big and bloated.
Yeah, smooth.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, nice and smooth.
Yeah,
you're a fucking monster, but you're gonna have to diet down a little bit. But else, I mean, it's just like, okay, give them 4 weeks and they're gonna be stage ready. I'm like,
right. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Like, what are you taking? Can I?
So at least you've increased to 310.
Yeah.
So you put on 10 pounds of muscle, which is a lot. People that don't understand bodybuilding, 10 pounds of muscle is a lot.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's like you will reach a point. I mean, I don't care if you're like 5'7". I'm 6'2", but it's like once you're pushing, unless you're just an absolute freak of nature, you will reach that point where your body's like, okay, we're good. But it just pushing through that, it's like you make this trajectory, then it just kind of levels off ever so slightly.
Yeah.
So, if I'm looking at the scale, like I touched 313 prior to getting sick, and then it dropped off to 306. Now I'm back up. So now we're smoothing out the sine curve.
Putting the weight on is never going to be a straight line. It's going to be like the stock market. It's going to be like this. It's going to, So give us an idea of how many calories you take in a day to put that weight on.
So right now, on my non-leg days, it's about 7,000. Leg days, I try to push that to 85, sometimes 9. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. It's like the hardest part about bodybuilding is not lifting weights.
Yeah,
it's eating. Yeah. The gym is the fun part. I mean, it's still hard work. Don't get me wrong, but it's like constant amount of calories when you just, you're always like on the verge of feeling like you're going to throw up. And then and you're trying to squat 500, you're like, okay.
Yeah. So, it's unbelievable.
It sucks.
I had one friend in the gym that used to make these high dense calorie shakes with cottage cheese, and then Dave Palumbo had famous shakes that he used to do with a dozen eggs.
Yeah.
Do you do anything similar to that?
I do. So I boil my chicken, blend my chicken, throw in my rice, cooked rice, peanut butter, heavy cream. And just drink that. I'm a notoriously slow eater. Even when I was in basic training, enlisted in basic training as an officer, I'm always the guy that's like basically hungry because they sit down, wolf down their food, and you go. But I'm the guy that's like, So eating that many calories, I just have to have something that I can ingest quickly. 15 minutes vices or 45 minutes, because you're constantly eating.
Right.
And so the nice thing about it, I guess, I don't know if I have like a kind of an iron stomach from flying for years, but yeah, I drink chicken. I have no problem with egg whites. So yeah, a lot of what I do is shakes. Now, keep in mind, it's not just, protein shakes. I'll throw in some extra protein if needed, but like 90% of it is whole food.
Yeah, you're blending.
Bypassing mastication and just getting it into the system. But my system can handle it. It's not just taking 2 or 10 minutes. I'm, starting over again.
Mike I'm sure a lot of bodybuilders do that, but Mike Matarazzo was famous for that.
Yeah, I know Hunter Labrada does it, chicken shakes and all that too. So it works. It's like there's no rule that says you have to get in calories this way. It's like, no, you can a lot of ways to skin the cat.
Right.
Your stomach can handle it.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of, I'm in the gym and there's a lot of young guys and they just don't understand, or they don't get, why they're not gaining weight. And I was like, you have to understand that eating isn't just eating. And they go, oh, I do eat a lot. That's what they do. I do eat a lot. I'm like, no, you don't. You have no idea what it's like to eat a lot.
Nope.
And listen, you're right. It was the worst. I hated it. I hated because it was like, when you're on prep, you can't wait to eat, and you're like, oh, I'm going to eat. And then like 2 months afterwards or 3 months afterwards, you're so sick of eating that, and the food is over here. Like, I'm not as big as you. I'm like, I'm 5'8". The biggest I ever got was like 235. And and it was still, and it was just a fucking, just dreadful, just absolutely dreadful, and you don't want to eat anymore and you're shoveling this food down. It's just, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So give us an idea of what 7,000 calories a day is like. You get up in the morning and what is your first meal?
So I'm kind of the thinking man slacker, if you will. So I'm one of those that I'm like, don't give me the meal plan per se, unless we're doing carb cycling. That's different. But I'm one of those that's like, okay, give me the macros. What do you want overall? Because there's nothing that says you have to have this many calories for this particular meal, this many carbs.
Right.
Caveat, you want to obviously, bump up your carbs before like a leg day or a back day or just working out in general. So it's like, I get the nuances, but overall, I would just prefer a coach to go, okay, 7,000 calories. I want you on like a 40-40-20 split. You figure it out. It's like, just, the protein sources, eggs, beef, and whatever, carb sources, because at the end of the day, it's like, well, I couldn't get meal 4 down. Well, why not? Well, because it's just not one of my favorites. Well, what would change that?
Right.
Why don't you just make it your favorite? Because to me, even one of my old coaches, Bonnie Priest, she's like, there are no magic food. She's like, I never ate fish. I'm from Texas. We eat beef.
Right.
And she's a Miss Olympia competitor, did fairly well. So I'm like, I think she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'm just like, I just stick to, the basic sources. But I break it up in like 2.5 to 3 hour increments. And I do have like a shake, like at around like 3 or 4 in the morning, because just eating this much, there's no way I'm going to sleep for 8 hours straight. You got to get up and, do your business. I'm like, well, why I'm up?
I got you. Okay.
Let's just go ahead and get a shake.
So what kind of shake is it that you take in the middle of the night? Because that's very popular too. A lot of people don't realize that when guys or girls are putting on weight for in their off season, they're getting up in the middle of the night and they're eating or they're downing a shake. Usually it's a shake because it's very quick. And they get back to bed. Exactly.
So I really like MRE, which has a lot of carbs in it, pretty good amount of protein. I'll generally, depending on the macro breakdown, I'll throw in like a couple scoops of casein just to keep the satiety levels up.
Right.
And I can just down it like that. So when you're half asleep, you're not really, you're not really amped to sit down and take a while to eat. You're just like, I just want to drink this and get the fuck back in bed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's already made. That's kind of part of my routine. Being a former pilot, it's like, I'm very checklist oriented, and it's like I have to live and die by the checklist. This has to be completed, then this has to be completed, and it fits in well with this because, as you know, it's like bodybuilding is so schedule oriented. You eat here, you eat here. I want to work out between this time, and then I'm going to come back and do this. And once you get in that battle rhythm, that's just what makes this almost fun.
All right.
Traveling sucks because now you're starving. It's not your gym. You don't have your equipment. I mean, I'm really, really regimented, and that's just my nature. So that's why
it fits you perfectly. Most bodybuilders, well, I'd say all bodybuilders have to be regimented. As a matter of fact, I had one show where I had 3 guests on that were former or recovering either alcoholics or drug addicts. And what saved them was the structure from bodybuilding, because they had because it gave them a structure, and they had to eat at a certain time, and they had to go to the gym at a certain time, and the gym and the working out became their new drug, if you will.
Yes.
It actually, they were able to kick. Yeah. It actually, it helped kick the habit. Yeah. Okay. So you have a shake, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then when is your next meal? What time do you sleep till and you get up? And
with my company, I'll generally start my next meal at around 7:30 or 8.
Okay. And then what do you eat at 7:30 o'clock?
That one's going to be a shake. On the weekends, sometimes, like I'll have, oh God, what's it called? Like rice. I completely forgot the name of it. Excuse me. But yeah, like oatmeal, something like that first time in the morning. But even when I was deployed, it was just so easy to have like a shake ready.
So you're doing another shake or a food shake?
I do a food shake. Yeah.
Okay.
During the day, those are the food shakes.
Okay.
Nighttime is the only just here's MRE and some casein.
Right. Yeah. So tell me what the food shake is at 7:30 in the
morning. Food shake is 2.5 cups of oatmeal, a banana, peanut butter, and 8 ounces of chicken. And, yeah, it's
don't even sound.
It looks terrible, but it tastes awful. And generally we throw in, like some kale, berries, something like that. And just Vitamix is like the greatest thing I ever bought.
Okay. All right. Vitamix, you said?
Yeah. Vitamix blender.
What? Oh, blender. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
So then your next meal, you have 7:30, your next meal is what? Not 10 o'clock, give or take.
Yeah. About that.
And then what's that?
And then that one's going to be like, I don't know, 8 ounces of steak, 2 cups of rice, just kind of your basics, really.
Right. All the way through. Yeah. So you're getting in between 7,000 and 8,500 calories a day. Yeah. How many times do you shit? Because I remember when I was trying to do that, I remember there was days I would shit like 4 or 5 times.
Either it's one mother of all dumps or I always ask, I ask the current wife, I'm bringing a plunger like into her office. Like, do we have anything larger than this? I'm just planning ahead.
Yeah. These are all things people don't understand. Here's another one that people don't get. Nobody realizes how much you shit. Nobody realizes how you feel nauseous all the time because the food is up to here. And another thing that people don't understand is you can schedule your workout where you don't eat, 45 minutes beforehand. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you work out, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when your wife wants some loving, I remember I used to get kind of nauseous, like I was going to puke in the middle of that because I just ate before that, and then a lot of rock and roll, and I'd be like,
And the sad thing is, and I mean, we might as well just kind of quote come clean with this, but it's like, in the off season, just being this heavy, it kind of limits, what you can really do. So, I mean, generally, like if you're just all in, and you want to be like, a balls deep sexual Tyrannosaurus, well, that's great if you're lighter and you're able to be, flexible, take your ass to the back of your head and, destroy it.
Yeah.
At 310, I'm more like, look, it's not that I'm lazy, I'm telling you this, but I'm just like, I just can't support myself in a push-up position, Otherwise, I just feel like, it's a Vidal Sassoon commercial, and I'm just
so either she's getting on top or she's pinned to the bed. That's it, and there's no getting
exactly. Basically, it's
310 pounds of a gorilla on stage is.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not that I'm not going to perform, especially if you're okay.
Yeah, right.
But we're going to do the water cooler position. We're going to go from behind, and I'm just going to basically break your pelvis. Once 310 is in motion, it's hard to stop the momentum. but I said, it's just.
Did you feel the food coming up? Because I remember I used to. Yeah.
And another thing with this is acid reflux.
Oh, that is true too.
Yeah,
I used to almost choke on it in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
I used to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it was because of that. This was before I started gaining weight, but even when I was in Afghanistan, my roommates were like, "Dude, you snore like you're an Olympic class snorer." I never knew this. Came back from one deployment and did a sleep study. Mm-hmm. Stopped breathing 57 times on average in like 1 minute.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. So they're kind of like, okay, you have severe sleep apnea. So yeah, I'm a full sleep apnea guy. Then you throw in acid reflux. I'm like, okay, I'm the guy that's like, I'm looking at it holistically saying, all right, you spend a third of your life asleep. You might as well make it a good one. So I'm going to buy the Ferrari of all beds. I want the full vibrating, adjustable Tempur-Pedic, adjustable, because with acid reflux, you want that.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps with sleep apnea.
Your poor wife, man. She's got to deal with all this shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's a rock star. I'm like, I think she's in line for sainthood. Yeah, she deserves it.
Yeah. That's hysterical. Yeah. So your workouts, since you're putting on weight, have you been getting stronger in the gym?
Yeah. With current stack, a lot of it, as you know, it's kind of like more is just more. More isn't better.
Right.
So finding out those particular blends or whatever and compounds are necessary. So once you kind of find the ones that work for you, that produce the best results.
If you want to speak about it, go right ahead, because I've talked about it plenty of times.
Yeah. So, with that, I'm noticing, obviously with increased caloric intake.
Yeah.
Plus that, I mean, getting stronger. But the big thing is too, it's like what I found is I'm able to control the reps better and have more of them, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I'm not just, okay, there's 500 pounds.
Not just pumping. Right. Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you can pause, push, flex. Okay, that's what I really want.
The contraction, mind-muscle connection.
It's almost like Dorian Yates is just amazing because he's like, he would do as many warm-up sets and then balls out on just one. I'm like, okay, let's not go to that extreme because I just don't have the mentality to do it. Mm-hmm. But I adopt the principle. I'm like, let's do maximum output in the least amount of reps and sets. Mm-hmm. Let's not just do 3 sets of 10 because we can do it. Right. Let's, even Ronnie was like, I don't really count reps. It's like, I go until I can't.
Yeah. Right.
The great thing about this is trying out new techniques. That's the spice of life. You just have to find out what works for you.
Yeah. So now, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but you brought up compounds. When you're in your off season, when you're trying to put weight on, what compounds do you like to use?
I stick just to the basics. I mean, just sip. D-ball's nice. MPP if I want something a little faster acting. Yeah. Most people really like Tren when they're cutting.
Yeah.
I love Tren in the off season. I don't go crazy with it.
To me, I mean, in my experience, it depended on which Tren you used.
Yeah.
And that's just my experience. And the 3 most popular ones that everybody knows is the acetate, the enanthate, and the tritren, which is all 3, the hex, acetate.
Right.
And that particular one seemed to be a really good off-season muscle builder because you didn't get the night sweats. It really wasn't, but your strength and size went through the roof.
You're a god in the gym.
Yeah.
It's like the numbers don't matter.
But if you take acetate or enanthate, in my experience, it kind of had the same effect, only enanthate took some more time to work because it's a slow acting drug.
Yeah.
But the Tritren, for me anyway, when I used to use it, that was the one that was really. But for the most part, like for me, it would be sus, deca, or D-bulls or anadrol, more specifically D-bulls. But I don't really mess with that too much anymore. Right now, I just use test and growth.
Yeah,
because there's no reason to if you're not competing. It's in my opinion, you know.
Right.
So that seems to be your. So basically, your SIP, D-bulls, and NPP. That seems to be what you like.
Yeah, pretty much. I like throwing in tren every now and then, but
once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously running growth and insulin, but the nice thing, at least about growth and insulin, in my experience, is it almost like takes your oil levels down a little bit.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, it's like you just don't have to run 1,200 or 1,000 or 1,200 a sip or something like that.
Right.
It's almost like, hey, 800 is fine. This is just me.
Right.
If I'm taking in like 0.6 IU or something like that for insulin, and I pull a mill every day for HGH, that works out pretty well. That took me just those two, insulin and HGH. I mean, that took me from like 275 to 300, and I mean, it seems like a couple of months. I was stuck forever.
Yeah, I never have used insulin, but why don't you give us your insulin protocol? Because some people like the fast acting one, some people like the moderate. What do you use?
I use Humalog, so I think that one's fairly fast acting. At least it is with me. I definitely notice. Like right after I pin, I mean, that's when I have generally my post workout with fast acting carbs and all that. It's like stupid me, I did an experiment, meaning I forgot a little bit and time kind of got away from me. I think I took like a phone call from my mom. But yeah, 45 minutes went by after I pinned, and I was like, okay, holy fuck, I'm ready to eat everything in the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was. And there's a silver lining to it because it was kind of scary because I was like, okay, holy shit, I'm sweating like crazy.
Yes.
Heart's beating like mad. I'm like, am I about to fucking pass out and die here? So in a way, it's like, I'm kind of glad I got that. I went through it because it makes me really respect what it is and what it can do.
Yeah. You kind of, it is the type of drug that if you use, you really have to have your finger on the pulse.
Yes, exactly.
You really have to know exactly when you have to eat because it can do some damage. But that being said, if you do it right and you're on that protocol, if you do it right, nothing. I don't think anything builds muscle better, and it's not really nearly as unsafe as if you did it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Just know the amounts of, like, if you take like 5, what I do, I just take like, say I take like 0.5 IU or something like that, kind of next to nothing, but I take that amount and times it by 3. So it's like, if I take 5, okay, I'm going to ingest at least 150 grams of carbs. And with that, I mean, it may be a little overkill,
right?
But I've never had an issue with that.
See, I don't use insulin. I never have. And right now, like I said, I've been on test and growth for, I'd say, since like January. And then I came off the test a little bit and then went back on and whatnot. I only go up to about 4 units a day because I don't use insulin. What is your growth protocol?
Like first thing in the morning, I'll take like, I guess like 0.5 mils, and then post workout, I take like another 5.
Now, when you say 5 units, you're talking about?
Yeah. So basically, like if you're doing an insulin needle, I'm taking
right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
You're doing 10 units a day, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. Again, I never did insulin, but I've always heard you have to increase the GH. Not have to, but you can increase the GH when you're using the insulin.
Correct.
Yeah.
And once I found out that combination, to me, it's almost like that is kind of the fountain of youth. That's put on the most size and kept that size. Like I thought for the longest time, like my body just naturally wanted to be 275. And I'm like, no, it just naturally wants to be 305 now.
I gotcha. Okay.
And
you broke through that threshold.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm kind of like, I got that, using almost like a scientific principle. It's like, you don't throw in 50 new variables. You just add a little bit, just kind of track the measurements. It's like what's working and what amounts. And once insulin was introduced along with growth hormone, I was like, okay, this is the key. This is how you do it.
Yeah. And it looks like you're staying relatively lean. I mean, you look massive, but you still look relatively lean.
Yeah. I mean, I still have, I kind of, hold it here just like where everybody else does. But I mean, it's not pouring over,
right.
A harpoon scarred gut or anything, like a lot of Floridians down here. But yeah, I'm saying relatively lean. I am looking forward to not only maintaining that 330 once I ascertain that, but starting to cut, because I want to see what's underneath all this, like for real.
Of course. That's the only way. That's the only way you really see what you've gained.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm a huge Samson Dowder fan.
Yeah.
Huge Samson Dowder fan. And that was what was so impressive when we saw him at the Arnold Classic, because he had gotten up to 320 in the offseason. He looks massive. But then when you look at him in the Arnold Classic, and there is this just front relaxed pose he does, and you see how massive his legs got with separation, how capped his shoulders are, how deep his abs got. It was like night and day. When you look at him from 2023 to 2020 to 2023 or 2021 to 2023, it looks like a different person. He became so massive, but still was able to keep that symmetry and balance. And that's what every bodybuilder is trying to attain.
Yeah.
There was another question. Oh, the last time we talked, you said the one body part that you had to work on was your legs. You were really working Definitely. On the legs. How's that coming?
So a lot better. The bad thing about the gym that everyone is guilty of, nobody wants to go in there and really do the body parts and exercises that they don't like to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I see it all the time. Yeah.
And I'm one of those that even such the nuance is, I would much rather work hamstrings than I work quads. But it's like, well, guess what? You got to work quads like crazy. So we're not going to the gym to get good at exercise, that's for sure. But progress is slow. Definitely not for lack of trying. But I don't know. It's at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, progress is happening, but I just don't have wheels like, nor will I like a Derek Lunsford.
Yeah. Right. Well,
or Phil Heath and those kind of guys. Of course, Olympian levels, you lofty goals, of course. What is it that Robert Emerson said? It's kind of like, man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what are heavens for?
Yeah. Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, well, okay, reality is I work the hell out of my quads. It's not for a lack of effort, but they're putting up a fight.
Good. Now, when you decide to, you're really going to hit your quads. Because for me, like for example, my weak points were always my back and my shoulders. I always had relatively good quads, chest, arms, so on and so forth. And then
it still shows.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And then when I put a lot of effort into back and shoulders, it became one of my favorite parts to train, because then I started seeing progress. I don't know if that makes sense. It was like,
oh yeah, I get it. Yeah,
like I could piss on my chest and it would grow, right? And same thing with my legs. I never had a problem. Even calves, never had a problem.
Oh, you're one of those? I hate you.
Yeah. It was just never. Well, it's because I'm short. I'm not 6'2". I'm 5'8". So,
yeah.
But when it got to the point where I was like, okay, especially when I started competing, and I was like, all right, I really got to if I'm going to compete, I really got to put some effort into, deadlifting, rowing, so on and so forth. Really, the compound was for back, and still to this day, it's become one of my more favorite training days, because I was able to see results. And you put the hard work in, and it's to me that is more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Has that become like that with you with your quads?
Yes. Yeah. That's actually a very good point. The nice thing about it's like everybody, I think, to some extent, has like what I would kind of consider like a throwaway exercise, like for a particular body part.
Right.
Like I'm just kind of naturally gifted in shoulders and chest. So I'm not saying that they can't be better, but it's not like I'm going to go in there and just be like, okay, I have to wreck my chest today. I'm like, no, it's pretty good. It can always be better, like I said, but I don't rack and stack it into like the top priority. So with that, there's almost like a slight mentality shift when going to the gym, training that body part. I'm like, okay, it's still fun. You still put in the work, but you're not killing it.
Right. Exactly.
Vis-a-vis your back, my quads. You have to kind of psych yourself up a little bit. You have to have some windshield talk before you get out of the car to go, okay, I can't fuck around today.
Exactly.
Because the thing is, it's like you only have so many workouts that you can do in a week or 10-day, whatever your split is. And it's like, don't waste this, because to me, it's almost like I let myself down if I go in there and I feel like I mailed it in. And I'm like, you just wasted it. Okay. I mean, because it's not like if you really killed it, you're going to come back the next day and repeat working back or working quads. No, you got to wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like you really have to psych yourself up and be like, I'm going to fucking destroy it today.
Yeah.
I have to.
That actually, it always, and what's funny is that you said that is that I could do legs on a Sunday morning. Right. Because that's
bed, no food.
Yeah. Like I could do, but if I do back or shoulders, it has to be a day after work where I had all my calories in. And I go straight from work right to the gym. I drink my pre-workout and then I'm ready. Right.
Yeah. Right. And you thought about it all day. Yeah. You're ready to go to war.
Excuse me. But you're right. But when it comes to like my chest, like tomorrow morning, I'll do chest. Right. And it's like, okay. But like I said, back, shoulders, it's got to be one day after work. And it's got to be, I have to have all my meals in and the pre-workout and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I'm exactly the same way. And it's almost like, I don't work legs with anything less than 3 meals.
Right.
I just can't do it. I'm just like, and I know this people are going to think this is kind of a cop out, but I'm like, okay, if I slept like crap, I only got a couple meals in, I'm not going to work legs today because I
100%. Yeah.
I know, just like, nope, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the better way to go. And you know what else I do? And I was actually going to ask you this. Do you have like what I do is when on those days where like a back or shoulders day, or I usually bring up like a video that gets me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
While I'm driving.
Yep.
So what's your favorite? Because then I'll give you my 2 favorites. Because mine is really not even bodybuilding related.
Same with me.
Oh really? Yeah. All right, good.
Okay, so there was a video that we made, or that was taken, I should say, when I was flying F-16s, and one of my buddies shot this. So he was a tanker pilot, and the guy in the back, actually like the guy that gasses up the jets, he had the camera set up there, and there was a 3 ship that came in, and I was number 3. So actually kind of seeing myself, and I knew exactly what that mission was going to be, so after I tanked, like this, and okay, cool, and rolled over, and I was like, I'm going to go fucking kill some people today. I loved it. I was like, I'm going to go fucking schwack some baddies. I'm going to drop some munitions and rain some hate. And it just felt great. There's nothing like being basically the finger of God.
Yeah.
Right. And that I think about that.
High. I didn't even think of that. That could be a high. Sure.
Yeah. Pulling down your MVGs and just rolling over and just you're ending somebody's existence.
So that's the actual video that you use?
Yeah. I think about that. And then the other one is it sounds kind of corny, but I really like Wagner.
What's that?
The composer.
Oh, okay.
So anything like the entrance of the gods into Valhalla, Ride of the Valkyries. I'm sure you've heard that. It's basically like it's the classical music version of heavy metal.
Okay.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of me just thinking in sort of like an ethereal plane, walking into the gym like a god.
All right. Mine are
standing on top of machines and,
Yeah. Yours are very intellectual kind of stimulation. Mine is not. Mine's really corny shit. I'm like almost embarrassed to tell you now. Like
no.
the 2 videos I watched before, like I really get in the mood to go to the gym, and I only do this occasionally, but I do it. is the scene in Rocky 3 with Hulk Hogan and Sylvester Stallone.
Okay, yeah.
You remember that? The boxer against the wrestler?
Yep.
And I only like when Hogan kicks the shit. Yeah. I only like when Hogan kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's fucking beats him.
Yeah, because he's talking so much shit. And the other one is and my favorite is when Stallone is like getting the edge on him and he's punching him in the stomach and he picks him up and chokes him.
Yeah.
I love it. And then Paulie hits him with a chair.
Yeah.
it just gets me going. The other one, which is absolutely ridiculous, it's as if that's even more ridiculous, but is the movie Knockaround Guys, where Vin Diesel kicks the shit out of that redneck guy down in the south.
I've never seen that.
The movie.
I want to now.
Yeah, the movie's horrible, but there's this. It's terrible. It's supposed to be that these guys from Brooklyn, and they go down to the Midwest somewhere. I don't even. I've only watched that scene. I've never watched the movie in its entirety.
Yeah.
And this one guy, they're at a bar and they have some like illegal work they got to do, whatever. And there's one guy in a bar, and there's like 5 of them, and Vin Diesel's like the muscle, right? And he says, his friend is dancing with this girl, and the guy who owns the place, he's the tough guy, gets really pissed off that these guys are dancing with the girls from the bar or whatever, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Vin Diesel steps in and faces the guy and just basically says 500. And he goes, 500 what, douchebag? And he goes, 500 street fights. And then he kicks the shit out of him. That's really it. So yeah. I mean, and Vin Diesel's such a terrible actor, and he's so.
He was
bad.
Great in Guardians of the Galaxy
as the tree.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give him a pass on.
He has
who can't play in the
one
tree?
line, 3 words.
Yeah, that's it. That was the best.
Finest actor ever.
Yeah.
He was good in Saving Private Ryan, though.
That's right. That's right.
He was Caparzo.
What's funny is, that movie is one of the best ever made, period. I don't know if you know this, but I actually had Tom Sizemore on before he died.
Yes. Yep. I watched that episode. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tom was awesome.
Tremendous movie. One of the, for some reason we don't get movies like that anymore, but, you don't know what show is, but do you know the time? Like, you're going to do November, December? Do you know when you're going to actually compete?
I'd like to do, I'm thinking realistically, not realistically, just a tentative timetable. I'm thinking a show maybe June or July of next year.
Oh, so okay. So that gives you plenty of time. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it allows me enough to get to 3:30 or close to whenever the coach says, okay, you're good, whatever that is. Because at the end of the day, it's really the look, not necessarily the weight. Once you get above like 300, it's kind of like, okay. I mean, it's great. But then, a couple months to maintain X weight and then starting like a 16 weight cut. So I'm kind of projecting late spring, early summer.
Okay. So I don't know have you ever been to a local show?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you diet right, odds are you're going to win. Because
NPC level, it's like show up with abs.
So if you now don't get me wrong, there are some shows, especially up in the tri-state area, like, and it depends on the timetable. Like if you have a show like a month out before the nationals, you're gonna you're gonna get some quality because they're trying to qualify.
Yep.
But if you do win your class or win the overall, are you going to continue to that year onto a national level show?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Well, with one caveat. Okay, so generally in the super heavyweight class at the NPC level, the field is they're never too deep, I guess, you know. Yeah. So, if you show up and you take first at a third, okay, good, but a win is a win.
Right.
But, I think at that point, your coach / with the feedback from the judges really kind of sets the tone to be like, okay, you won because you're the most conditioned. However,
Yeah. But you're going to know yourself.
Well, absolutely.
You don't seem like the type of person that looks through rose-colored glasses. You're very well grounded, very aware. I was same thing with me. Yeah. Like I knew I won one open class. I won 3 mastered overalls. But I knew if I did a national level show, I would get my ass handed to me. I knew it. I knew. I remember I went to Team Universe in 2013. Was it 13? What doesn't matter. And John Meadows won. He passed a couple of years back. But
John was awesome.
Yeah, and I looked at him and I was like, I can never look like that. I'm never gonna be able to look like that. That's impossible. And you just have to be real with yourself. Sure. There are all those people out there that are chasing, fantasies. But you're not one of those. You're not one of those guys.
No. It's like I want to. The great thing about this sport is, at the end of the day, it's like it's your work that you put in. It doesn't really matter to a point what your coach says. You still have to put in the work. You still have to eat meals. You have to do everything. So the result of your work, with other people's encouragement, of course, shows on the stage. So if you put in 100% or if you just kind of mailed it in.
Oh yeah. And when you go backstage, you're going to look around and you're going to know who those people are.
Yeah. And that's, and it's not saying that everyone is going to show up at perfect conditions all the time. People are going to miss, peaks. Some are going to show up flat, salt retention. And that's just part of the sport, but it's like, if you win and you take the overall and you're kind of like, I won this because I destroyed everybody, because it wouldn't matter if there was 15 people. Right. I would have taken first no matter what. If you and your coach kind of have that same, mind melding mindset, that's when I say, okay, yes, nationals it is, but it's not going to be me just making that decision in the vacuum. That's going to be, that's going to be a collectivism, if you will. Exactly. Of multiple inputs saying, okay, we can do a show, yes, for nationals, or let's lay off a year, make some improvements. Because, of course, for the first show, the coach is still learning your body. Right. They don't know how you're going to react like the day before.
That's the truth. Yeah. That is the truth. And I don't understand these guys that bounce around from coach to coach. It's like you got to give them a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the truth. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, the first show, in a way, is kind of a beta test. Yeah. It's to see how you ebb and flow and how you react to certain stimulants through a 16-week period, even peak week, and leading up to weigh-in.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're probably gonna be ready before 16 weeks, and you're gonna have to hold it because you're so dedicated. Your metabolism is gonna be firing on all 8 cylinders. 8 weeks through. And I guarantee your coach is going to be like, all right, let's start carbing up because you're going to get too flat. And because it happened to me, because I'm not, my attitude was, I'm not going to spend the money on a coach and the NPC card and going in and the supplements and the super subs and the food. I'm not going to spend all this money just to waste my own time. It doesn't make sense. So when I did it, I always zoned in on it. Right. Even though especially the last 3 weeks, I hated the prep, but I always zoned in on it. I always did exactly what I had to do. And like you said, your coach doesn't know your body, but 16 weeks is a long prep. So odds are you're probably going to be, in my opinion, you're probably going to be in shape in 8 to 12 weeks because you're going to be doing everything exactly what you're supposed to be doing. The cardio, the carb cycling, the training, it's inevitable.
And that's half the fun of us hitting the I believe button.
Yeah. And then what actually happened was I just jumped into an earlier show, than planned. But Russ, again, thank you. Much respect. Absolutely. Always. I always appreciate you when you come on and we shoot the shit and talk bodybuilding and we talk about your journey to your first contest. So
always a pleasure being here.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Give my love to the missus and I will have you back. What is it? It's August. Probably a little bit before the holidays. Hopefully, it'll be about 3:30 by that point.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll talk again.
Okay.
And then
I'll be at the Olympia. I'm just attending, obviously. But how about a little bit after that? We can chat about.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, yes. Actually, sounds good. Yeah. Russ, thank you very much, man, and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Take care, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.